The 84-year-old man, a war veteran who had survived 2 brutal wars, was just out for his usual black coffee. But when he paused to defend a young woman being screamed at on the street, the guy didn't say a word. He just threw a punch straight into the old man's face. The veteran collapsed onto the pavement, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his worn-out military cap rolling across the sidewalk. No one helped. No one spoke up. But 30 minutes later, an engine roared in the distance. And Justice, not in a uniform, but wrapped in loyalty and fury, stepped out an old army vehicle, carrying the kind of rage only brothers in arms truly understand. Frank Delaney, 84 years old, is a Marine Corps veteran who has endured some of the harshest challenges on the battlefield. Every morning, he keeps his routine of visiting the local cafe, always wearing his veteran cap, a symbol of pride and resilience. But few know that beneath this simple exterior lies a steel heart and a story that will leave everyone stunned. That morning, Frank Delaney walked into his usual coffee shop, like every day. The peaceful atmosphere and the rich aroma of roasted coffee filled the room. He wore his worn veteran cap and slowly made his way to the counter to order his usual strong black coffee. Just as Frank stepped away from the counter, loud arguing erupted outside the door. A young woman was being yelled at by a man, his harsh words echoing through the busy street. Though advanced in age, Frank couldn't ignore the scene. He stopped and spoke firmly but calmly. "You shouldn't treat her that way." The man turned around, his eyes cold and hostile. He was about 30 years old, muscular, with a scowl of anger on his face. "Who's this old man thinking he can interfere?" he sneered. Before Frank could reply, the man lunged forward, grabbing Frank's shoulder and shoving him hard. Frank felt the shove hit him like a hammer, but he remained standing. Then suddenly, a punch struck him square in the face, causing him to lose balance and fall onto the cold sidewalk. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth, and his veteran cap tumbled to the ground, rolling amid the indifferent footsteps of passers-by. In that moment of pain, memories of the battlefield flooded Frank's mind. Fierce fights, fallen comrades. But his heart refused to surrender. "Not now," he thought. "I still have work to do." The crowd watched silently. Many were scared, others indifferent. No one dared to speak up or help, but everything was about to change. Just 30 minutes later, the roar of an engine echoed from afar, like a promise of justice. An old military vehicle rolled into the street, and with it came a force no one expected, ready to stand up for the veteran. Frank's story, a man thought to be beaten, was only just beginning. Just 30 minutes later, the atmosphere on the street remained heavy with a tense silence. People looked at Frank Delaney, the 84-year-old veteran lying on the sidewalk, with eyes full of confusion and regret. But then, the sound of an engine echoed from afar, changing everything. An old, sturdy military vehicle rolled down the street. It belonged to the Veteran Protection Team, a volunteer group dedicated to supporting and protecting those who have served their country their whole lives. The soldiers stepped out, their eyes sharp and ready for action. Jack Morrison, the team leader, quickly approached Frank. He bent down and said in a calm, warm voice, "Are you okay, Frank?" Frank forced a smile, though blood still dripped at the corner of his mouth. "I'm fine. Just an unexpected punch." But Jack didn't let it slide, his gaze fixed on the attacker, who still stood there, visibly shaken by the arrival of protectors. Tension suddenly surged. "No one has a right to treat a man who fought for this country like that," Jack said firmly, signaling his team to start recording the incident. Immediately, the protection team contacted police, gathering evidence from witnesses and videos taken by onlookers' phones. The surrounding community began to awaken, realizing this was no longer just a personal matter. They formed a solid circle around Frank, shielding him from any further aggression. The attacker, sensing the gravity of the situation, stepped back with a fearful look. A team member, a former Special Forces veteran, stepped forward. "You will be held accountable for your actions." The police arrived quickly, coordinating to collect evidence and escort the man to the station for questioning. Though still in pain, Frank stood firm beside his new comrades. He felt the power of unity and justice standing with him. That day, the story of the elderly veteran's attack was more than just an act of violence. It became a symbol of community strength, protection, and fairness for those who have sacrificed. Frank returned to the cafe, his veteran's cap on his head, now accompanied by new friends, teammates, justice defenders who arrived just in time to prove that no one is left behind, and justice always flies to those who need it most. When the Veterans Protection Team arrived, the atmosphere on the street instantly turned tense. The attacker stood there, face pale, eyes wild with panic, yet trying to appear fierce. Jack Morrison stepped forward with deliberate, firm strides, his voice cold as steel. "You really thought you could hit an old man and get away with it?" The man bit his lip, clenching his fists, muscles twitching as if ready to unleash his fury. But this time, the crowd didn't want to see violence. Justice was standing right in front of them. Jack pulled out his phone, recording the entire incident, his tone decisive. "The police are on their way. You won't be escaping from here." The attacker looked around desperately, but every exit was blocked. The protection team and the community formed an unbreakable circle, leaving him nowhere to run. A former Special Forces vet stepped forward, his voice like forged iron. "You've committed a crime, not just against a man, but against this entire community." He shouted in frustration, "I run this street. I do what I want." But his words were nothing but a weak echo amidst overwhelming silence. Frank Delaney, still in pain, slowly rose, his eyes sharp as a blade. "Old age doesn't mean weakness. I fought on the battlefield, and I won't let anyone disrespect me." His words landed like a crushing blow, igniting a fire in everyone's hearts. They raised their voices in support of Frank, extinguishing any remaining aggression from the attacker. Within minutes, the police arrived, sirens blaring, flashing lights illuminating the street. They quickly took control, gathering evidence and taking statements from witnesses and Frank. The attacker stood pale and defeated, powerless before the force of law and community solidarity. He was taken away, with no way to escape justice. Jack looked at Frank, eyes full of respect. "You did the right thing. Justice has finally prevailed." Frank glanced around, his voice calm but resolute. "I fought for my country. Now I fight for myself with new comrades by my side." The confrontation ended not with fists, but with the power of justice and perseverance. Age didn't slow their steps. It only strengthened their fighting spirit. Within less than 5 minutes, the sound of police sirens echoed loudly down the street. The flashing red and blue lights illuminated everything around, causing the crowd nearby to step back and form a wide circle. Patrol cars came to a stop right in front, and a group of serious, experienced officers quickly stepped out. Leading them was Sergeant Miller, who promptly took Jack's phone to hear the full report. "Everyone, stay calm and stand behind the barriers," Sergeant Miller ordered firmly and clearly. Jack held up his phone, showing Sergeant Miller the video capturing the attack. "Here's the evidence. Look at this. That guy just hit Mr. Delaney out of nowhere. No reason at all." Jack said. Sergeant Miller watched intently, his eyes serious. "Good job recording this. You did the right thing." Frank Delaney, still breathing heavily and slightly unsteady on his feet, stepped forward. His voice was steady but calm. "I can't believe someone would do this to an old man like me, but I won't let it go." A female officer approached gently, asking, "Are you hurt anywhere, Mr. Delaney? We can call an ambulance if you need it." Frank shook his head. "I'm fine. Just a surprise punch. But I intend to see this through." The officers began collecting statements from witnesses. An elderly woman spoke emotionally. "I saw him push Mr. Delaney to the ground and punch him repeatedly. It's unacceptable." A young man added, "That guy's always causing trouble around here. Today he crossed the line." Every statement was carefully documented, painting a clear picture of the incident. Another officer took photos of the scene, searching for evidence like blood stains on the pavement and on Frank's clothes. Sergeant Miller turned to face the attacker, who now stood silently, pale and fearful, no longer aggressive. "You know this is a crime. I suggest you cooperate so this can end quickly." The attacker glanced around nervously, realizing there was no escape. Officers promptly handcuffed him and led him to the patrol car. Jack looked at Frank with a serious tone. "You did the right thing, Frank. No one has the right to lay a hand on you or anyone in this community. Frank nodded, his eyes shining. I've fought on battlefield before, and now I'm still fighting for justice and respect. As a police car pulled away, the crowd slowly dispersed, but the warmth and faith remained in the air. Everyone understood that today, justice was served just in time, and the strength of community could never be broken. As the police left, a calm and renewed sense of trust lingered on the street. Frank Delaney stood there, not just as an elderly man who had faced many hardships, but as a symbol of resilience and justice. The eyes of those around him shone with deep respect. Jack stepped forward, placing a hand on Frank's shoulder with admiration. You've shown us that strength isn't about age, but about a courageous heart. Frank smiled, his eyes filled with gratitude. If you hadn't recorded it, the truth might have been hidden. Sometimes, justice depends on the courage of each of us. Neighbors gathered, forming a circle of unity. One voice spoke up, "We can't let violence steal our peace." Today, we stood together to defend what's right. That brotherhood wasn't built just through peaceful days, but through trials and challenges. Frank deeply felt the power of a community where people share, protect, and respect one another. He looked around warmly and said, "Thank you all. Your support is the strength that keeps me standing. We are a family, an unbreakable community." Jack nodded, his eyes bright. "We will always stand together, no matter what." The story of an elderly veteran attacked and the community's swift response became a vivid testament to the power of unity and gratitude. It was more than an event. It was a symbol of faith, justice, and brotherhood, values firmly rooted in every person. As the evening sun set, everyone quietly went home with hearts full of hope and respect, the most precious gifts that keep this community strong. If today's story touched your heart and you want to hear more true stories about courage, justice, and the bonds that hold us together, hit the subscribe button now and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. I promise to bring you authentic, meaningful stories that help you deeply feel the power of humanity and faith in justice. What do you think about this story? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like and share if you found the video helpful. Thank you so much for being part of this channel's journey. See you in the next video.